Hello, we're rolling. Okay, today is, let's see, today's July 28th, and here is your reading. You had a lot of questions, so let's take a look here. So topically, it's relationship, job, and finances. You're torn with the job choices. You want to know if anything is significant and changing in your relationship, and you want insight about your finances. And then you sent me another message where you clarified you have two jobs, one of which you hate, but you feel obligated to stay because of a friend who also works at the job. You had an opportunity come up, and you want to know if you should pursue that. And then, let's see, finance-wise, you have a little debt and want to know if there's any light at the end of the tunnel. And is everything on the right path with your relationship of 6 years? Your career is aesthetics. And you waitress at night. Okay, so let's get started here. It's late, so I'm a little tired, but I think we can do this. So I used the 9-digit number that you gave me to draw 2 cards for you. The first card is from the Earth Power Oracle by Stacey DeMarco. This is actually done by my favorite Oracle card illustrator, Jimmy Manton, out of Australia. So that's one card, and then the other card, I used the number to draw another card for you, and this is the tarot card, and it is going to sum up the reading. Either in terms of just kind of like tying a bow around it, or perhaps it will be a guide for you, something like that. And I usually look at that card last. But to set the tone for the reading, let's see what Earth Power Oracle cards you got. Oh, Death Valley. So I love Death Valley. Okay, so it's the can't think of the phrase on it is, I am resilient. There is hope. There can be success through hardship. I am resilient. There is hope. There can be success through hardship. That's a real great card to draw. So that always, for me, sets the tone of the reading. So I shuffled the cards already. The one in the bag that you chose is the Centennial Smith-Waite Tarot. So let's get started. I'm going to draw a foundation of 3 cards for you to get started with, and just to kind of see generally what's going on. So we've got 1, 2, and 3. Okay. King of Swords. Oops. 9 of Cups. Okay, so things look like they've been going really well for you in the recent past. So King of Swords, this is, the King of Swords is an authority figure. He's a master of the realm of the mind and air. So air as an element is all about mental things like rational thought, ideas, and thinking through things, logic, those sorts of things. And he has mastery in those areas. So, you know, you're thinking about so many things. I would say that, like, you know, of late, you've been really clear-minded and rational about your life and where you want it to go. And I would say that, you know, you've been using that in order to transform your life. One of the symbols in the card is the butterfly, and the butterfly, you know, a caterpillar goes into its chrysalis and then reemerges as a butterfly. So that's all about transformation and using ideas as a vehicle for transformation. So moving along, this is an emotional fulfillment card. So the 9 of Cups is all about emotional fulfillment, and the card immediately preceding this is about going off and seeking something that's missing on an emotional level. So the 9 is that you have found something on an emotional level that fulfilled what was missing. So this is a really good card. There's a light side and a dark side to it. One of the dark sides to it is that if you notice that there's the 9 chalices on this shelf, and there's a curtain. which is hiding all sorts of things, or it could be nothing, but you could certainly fit a lot back there. So I think there's something that we don't quite know, like the circumstances through which this person found their fulfillment, right? But he is fulfilled. So I mean, these two look pretty good so far. Now, coming up on the end here, this card's reversed. I read reversals as blockages or blockages of energy, which really translate as hardship, like meaning something will be difficult or it will take a long time. So right now, this is Pentacles. So since you asked about job, relationship, this is all about not exactly home life, meaning like your house, but it means kind of like home life in terms of your stability and groundedness. So home life in terms of the salary you bring home to take care of things, to buy you food, clothing, shelter, money in that respect. Money less about, not about earning money and like doing your passion, but earning money in order to survive. It's about your job. It's about taking care of family and relationships from a home life perspective, not necessarily a romantic perspective. So he's basically planted all of these seeds and things are growing, but they're not quite ready to harvest yet. So he needs to be patient while all of the seeds that he has been planting develop and mature, basically. So he's a little bit in a holding pattern right now while things continue to develop. So in your immediate future, I see, and it might take a long time to develop since this was reversed. I see you having to like be patient, having to wait for all of those seeds that you've been planting lately to actually ripen and develop. Especially since you said you had another iron in the fire with your job. I think that's an indicator that, you know, it's going to take a while for all of that stuff to sort out. Now, let's see. Let's go ahead. I just mentioned jobs, so let's go ahead and start looking at the job. So you had 3 choices. You have your 2 current jobs, and then you have this 3rd opportunity. So let's go ahead and I'm going to draw 3 cards to look at each one of those for you. So let's take I'm trying to think of the word esthetologist. I can't remember. So that your job in aesthetics. Let's take a look at your current job in aesthetics. And let's take a look at the waitressing job. Waitressing job, okay. And then let's take a look at the this new opportunity that came up. So let's see about the new opportunity. This one. Okay. So your job as an esthetician. That's what I was trying to think of. Esthetician. Esthetician, waitress, and new opportunity. Okay, they're all reversed. So I think it's echoing this. This is going to take a while. It's going to be a little bit difficult to figure out here. So just let's remember, all of them are reversed. I'm going to turn them all right side up to describe the pictures to you. So the esthetician job, this is actually interesting because it is the card right before this one. So this one is the 7 of Pentacles, and you've got the 6, the predecessor card. So there's an aspect of progression when you have cards that are adjacent like that. So this is waiting for the seeds that have been planted to mature. This one's all about generosity and giving of yourself. So as an esthetician, I think depending on how you see it, I mean, like clearly, because you're serving more than one client, I would say that you're the figure who's giving of yourself in this position, and you have like your takers are probably the clients. So I wonder if the reason why this energy of, normally this card, like in a general sense, would be about generosity, because you know the figure is giving. He's meeting it out too, like METE, meet, like doling things out in a measured way, because he's got the scale. So, you know, trying to treat either people equally or being careful about what he gives too. So part of the lesson is this, that, you know, don't give too much, give what you can afford to give. So I'm wondering if this job is basically asking you to give a little bit too much, especially since it's reversed. So I think the difficulty with this could be that maybe you're being asked to give a little bit too much of yourself. It's hard for you to recharge. Now, on the waitress side, this is the Seven of Cups. So this is an emotional card. It's the suit of water. Usually this card is, I often use the phrase, like, if it were for something else, I would say that you're spoiled for choice. Like, on an emotional level, there's so many things to choose from, you're overwhelmed. Like, you've got these 7 cups, each cup has a different object in it with a different underlying occult symbol and meaning and whatnot. And they're all in a cloud, and this is one of the few cards where the figure in it actually has their back to us, right? He's taken aback by all of these choices. I think in terms of a waitressing job where you're serving, I can see that I'm seeing this as like each customer making choices and having an emotional effect on you, because they're all the 7 of Cups. So the waitressing job just looks like difficulty on an emotional level, and it might be a little bit emotionally draining because you've got so many different things. Like, each cup is different, each customer is different, and you're constantly having to deal with that. Now, the new opportunity, I feel like normally this card is like about swift movement. The horse is like, you know, what would you call it? Like, not leaping forward. I don't know what horses do. Like, I can't remember like the horse term for like going really fast, but the horse is moving fast along with the knight on it, the Knight of Swords, and here you've got another court card of the swords, right? So now we're really talking about a lot of intellectual decisions, a lot of rational thought, and a lot of decision making that needs to happen right now. So you definitely have the power to do it. So you've got the smarts, you've got the mental acuity to make these decisions for this new job. Normally this would be like plowing ahead as fast as possible. If you look really carefully at the horse's eye, the horse's eye is actually point. Would you point an eye? It's focused back on the knight on his back, as if to say, like, are you sure you want to leap ahead this quickly? So there's that aspect of this card that, you know, he's throwing caution to the wind. But on a basic meaning level, knights are explorers. They go on quests, and this is a quest about reason and rational thought. So I think, you know, the advice here is that, you know, using reason and your rational thought, how quickly do you leap forward into this job? And I don't think it would materialize very fast either, because this card is reversed. Now, I'm just going to review your question really quick. You want to know if you should pursue it or let it go. Knights explore. So I would definitely say the advice here is that you should explore this opportunity, because exploring an opportunity doesn't mean you need to take the offer. Jobs are about, you know, negotiating, learning through the interview process. So you're definitely getting the advice to explore. Now, once an offer comes through, you can always negotiate, see if it's better, do research, maybe shadow someone on the job one day, figure out if it's the kind of environment you want to work in. Since you're an esthetician, you could always send a friend of yours to go be serviced by these people, and they could go as a spy to tell you what it's really like there when everybody's not on their best behavior interviewing you. That would be like an aspect of seeking knowledge about this, about the position. Like, knights go on quests, and this is a quest. This is a mental quest here. So think about how you might really do some research and assess whether or not, and use your rational thought. Don't use emotions, but use logic to figure out if that is the right opportunity for you. It's going to take a while because it's reversed usually, or it's going to be kind of difficult to orchestrate, but I think it's doable because it's like resonating with this foundation that we drew. So I think I'm going to wrap up the job portion because we still have 2 more topics to cover. So I'm just going to kind of move these up here. And let's go ahead and take a look at the relationship. I'm just going to do the standard. You didn't say you're having any problems or anything specific you wanted to look at. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw 3 cards again. I'm going to draw a card for you. I'm going to draw a card for your partner. And I'm going to draw a card for the energy between the 2 of you. So let's look at your energy, his energy in the relationship, and then what does the energy of the 2 of you together look like. So let's draw those 3 cards now. So a card for you So this will be you. Let's draw a card for him. I'm assuming it's a him. This one. And then let's draw a card for the energy between the two of you. Okay. I don't know. I don't like how those are overlapping. Let's move them like this. So you seem to be full of joy. So you seem to be really happy in this relationship. This is the Three of Cups. Threes are kind of about creation. Like after if you bring two people together, they can create a child. So like the creation, Trinity, things like that. And here it's about creating. You have it's not just being joyful, but you're also it's in some element you're creating that joy yourself. The cups again are about emotions and water, and also about relationships. So this is relationship. It's joyous for you. There's sort of a cornucopia, like a harvest behind them too. So this is bearing fruit for you on an emotional level. So things are you seem like you're looking great in the relationship here. Your partner, on the other hand, it's the Fool. I look at the Fool as, and this is a major arcana card, so this is really, it's a very significant card. So this is like one of those, like each of the major arcana can mark like a milestone in your life. Like it's not like what you ate for breakfast Wednesday. It's maybe like, for food metaphor, it's not what you had for breakfast Wednesday, but it's how did you transform yourself by being on a diet for 6 months. So so something significant is happening in terms of your husband in the relationship, and it looks like he's going to be giving birth to something new somehow. So the Fool, it's the number 0. The number 0 to me is special. If you know anything about tennis, you know how like when they do tennis scores, like it's before you have any points, it's love. Well, the reason why we say the word love is it's from the French l'œuf, which is the egg. So like the metaphor is like the number that looks like an egg is 0. So 0, it's kind of all possibilities in a way. Dividing by 0 can give you infinity. Also, an egg to me is like being in the womb. It's like giving birth. The egg is basically the womb of a chicken, right? So when I look at the figure who's about to walk off the cliff, the walking off the cliff to me is about birth. It's about being born and leaving the womb. And the little stick that he's carrying here with his karma, like from past lives, or with his, like if it's a smaller sort of like beginning, like a new project or something, it would be his life experience and whatnot. So walking off the cliff here to me is about some sort of new birth, and whatever this new phase, new thing he's stepping into, it's reversed. So it's going to be difficult, or it's going to take a while, or there's something going on for him. So now the energy of the two of you together, however, this is the Ten of Wands. So the Ten of Wands is about passion. It can be about creativity, but it can also be about will. Like in terms of like your will in terms of getting what you want out of the relationship. And so right now it looks like things are pretty blocked. So there's some sort of heavy burden, like the relationship is bearing something, because this is the energy of the two of you together. So the two of you together are having to bear something that's, well, I was going to say not necessarily overwhelming. Like you can do it. Exhausting. I think exhausting would be the right word to use. So wands are the suit of fire, and the element of fire here is about will and passion. So something about will and passion that's going on in the relationship is really overbearing, and it's going to be difficult to bear, and it's going to take a while to sort itself out, because it's either complicated, it's going to be difficult, or it's going to take a long time since the card is reversed. So, and you asked specifically, is everything on the right path? Well, I think that's a question you have to answer. Like, there are hard times in relationships where you guys have to bear like get through difficult things. So just because you're having to bear something difficult as a part of the relationship, and one person is feeling joyful while another person is actually about to give birth to like a new phase in life, or a new project, or a new something, that doesn't mean the relationship isn't on the right path, because that's like relationships have their hardships. So it's up, but if you, only you know what these things might mean and what's actually going on in life. So what is the new thing, and what is the burden that's kind of tough to bear and maybe exhausting right now on and you know, maybe putting a damper on the fire inside you guys. Whatever that is, if you can weather it together, then it sounds like the relationship is on track, right? You're fine. If it's something else, then maybe if you're worried that it's not on track, you'll have to figure out what the nature of these things are, and if it is something that's so significant that it could put your relationship off track. So reflect on this. Maybe do a little journaling too to kind of figure out what's going on here. Now, let me see, what was your third question is about your finances. I'm trying to find in your messages. You want some insight about your finances. You said, oh, I have a little debt, and I want to know if there's a light at the end of this tunnel. So I'm assuming that the light at the end of the tunnel means like that can you get out of the debt? So let's go ahead and take just a look at look at the finances and debt. I'm gonna do simple 2 cards for that. I'm gonna kind of straighten these up a little here. I think the way I'll do it is I will, the debt's there, so that we don't really have to look at it itself, but what we can do is we can draw 2 advice cards for you. Let's draw like what you should be doing and what you maybe should avoid doing on the level of your debt. So this one, well, let me think. No, that didn't feel right. So what you should be doing, okay, and what you should not be doing, okay. Okay, what you should be doing, what you should not be doing. Okay, so you've got, for what you should be doing, now I'm gonna read into the way you phrased it. You said, finance-wise, I have a little debt and want to know if there's a light at the end of this tunnel. So you've got an 8 of Wands here. This is all, I mean, the basic meaning of this card is acting swiftly. It's like the fundamental word is speed, right? So I think you can nip this debt in the bud. It's just that you should act swiftly. So I don't know if, I mean, this could mean anything. I don't know why quickly now. This could be related to the new job opportunity. Maybe as you do your exploration with the new job opportunity, maybe it's more lucrative to you, and maybe the element of speed is related to this. I mean, the speed could also be related to like the current market climate, or the speed could be I don't know, it could be like selling a stock while it's high. It could be anything. So figure out, well, what of the thoughts that you've been having about this debt, what is it that might need to be done on more quickly? Like, what is it? I don't know, like maybe you have some money set aside, so make sure you have that money address the debt before your partner spends it on something frivolous, or who knows. But it looks like you should act quickly, and this is still a fire suit, so there's an element of creativity here. So where can you use creativity to solve this problem? And your will. So make sure that you muster what you need in terms of your will and your drive in order to make sure that you drive this to conclusion. And lastly, be precise with how you attack the problem. So all the wands that are flying through the air here, they're kind of like almost like missiles as a part of like a battle or something. And they're all, I mean, if you look at them, they're all pointed in exactly the same direction. So they all have the same target. So this is also telling that you, as you work swiftly, you should be focused on something really specific. You shouldn't be they're not aimed in different directions, right? So it's not telling you to spread yourself thin and whittle away at the debt in a whole bunch of different ways. It looks like there's a single target, a single thing that you should be focusing on in order to attack the debt. What you should not do, this is interesting because this is the 2 of Cups. So this is bringing 2 parties together on an emotional level. Usually this card is more about like, you know, forming relationships or forming some sort of bringing two parties together on an emotional and intimate level. So I don't know. I think you'll have to think about how this relates to your life. Like, what sort of things might be going on where you would want to avoid getting involved in something intimate, getting your emotions involved and like bonding emotionally with someone else or something else. This is kind of honestly, this is kind of an odd card to get for an action to avoid. But I'm trying to think if there's any other. You know what? I don't normally do this, but let me draw a clarification card on this action to avoid, to figure out what sort of union are you really trying to avoid getting yourself into here. So clarification card on what not to do. Okay. Okay, so this is the Page of Pentacles. So the Page of Pentacles, Pentacles again, we talked about them over here and here. They're about being grounded. They're about your material needs. They're about your pragmatic needs, day-to-day operation. And if we look at him right side up, he kind of looks like a giant, because pages are kind of have adolescent, childlike energy, like high school kids that are full of hormones. So they have like, you know, they're both insecure and they have a huge inflated ego at the same time, you know. So there's a field in the background, and it's like it's been plowed. We can assume that maybe seeds are about to be planted or have just been planted, but they haven't had time to grow yet. Not like this. Because pages are kind of just starting out. They're beginners. They're figuring things out. They're still learning. So I would say that the area, I would say that, I think as a clarification card as to where not to get involved, I would say that there's some sort of home life thing, or planting some seeds on a domestic level, something going on in the household, some sort of project that might be starting, that's going to take, like, it's going to have a definite intimate emotional component, and you probably need to avoid doing that right now. And maybe it will take resources away from the household, and that's why this is the action to take, is to, if you're going to focus on the debt, don't get involved in a project where there's like an emotional or intimate tie to it, and also have to worry about, like, you know, starting with some resources to make this thing grow over here. That's what you should not be doing if you're going to be focusing on your debt, because it'll take away from this singular aim over here. So maybe you have something in mind that you've been toying with intellectually, since you have been thinking a lot lately, and strategizing and planning and having mastery over that to transform your life. So maybe one of the things that you've been thinking about of late needs to not, you know, with this King of Swords, it needs to not happen right now if you're going to swiftly act on your debt. So, okay, that's a lot of cards. I'm just going to review your email one more time or your messages to me one more time, just to make sure. Okay. Oh, and this one was actually not just a job. Oh, this was not. You know, I saw this sentence that I missed before. It said the career opportunity is dealing with aesthetics and kind of going out on my own. Okay, so what I actually said now about like getting someone to spy, that doesn't make any sense if you're thinking of going out on your own. But it does make a little bit more sense now that I've read that sentence over here, in terms of these cards over here. So if you're going to put all of your emotional energy into building a new company and going out of your own, and you're basically planting a seed because you're basically learning to be a business owner, which now the Page of Pentacles has a slightly different interpretation. Like, so building your livelihood from the ground up, like planting the seeds in this fallow field in the background here from the ground up. What I would say is that, okay, you have a choice now. So like, if you want to quickly solve your debt problems and have a singular aim on that here, the starting your own business thing would take away for that. So I think from a balance perspective, like I think you have to focus on one or the other of these two things and not both at the same time, because I don't know that you'll be successful on attacking your debt if you're also pouring everything into going out on your own as an independent esthetician. So although you said career opportunity and kind of going out on your own, so I don't know. What I said before, if it's like a job, I think that's one thing. If this is actually starting a business from the ground up and that's the interpretation over here, then I think the action to avoid is doing both of these things at the same time. If this is actually just joining another company, going out on your own, meaning you're renting a station, like, I don't know, like how hairdressers, you know, like maybe someone owns a salon and you're just renting a station in a new place. It's not like high risk. You're not like signing a lease on a building yourself and all of that stuff. Then that might be okay. But you'll have to figure that out because I don't have enough details about, you know, what you're actually doing here. So I think that's all I'm going to say about the cards that are laid down. Let's take a look at the card that we used that number to draw for you to tie everything together. So you've got the Star, which is really a great card. So this is, again, a major arcana card, and this is, if you look at the sequence, the card right before it is the Tower, and that's about, like, you know, everything getting shattered down to the, like, everything getting destroyed down to the foundations, and then you need to rebuild up. So the Star is like, it's the energy that where, you know, you've been shaken down to the foundation, you're kind of clearing out the old, you're really unsettled, and then it's the new spark. It's the new spark, the new life, as you sort of rise up again. It goes star, moon, and sun. So that tiny point of light, the sun, the star, that's like the new spark, the new idea, and then it gets bigger with the moon, and then even bigger with the sun as you progress on the journey. So the next steps will be, this just gets bigger and bigger. Another way to look at the Star is, where can you be a star? Where do you shine? So you're talking a lot about your relationship, in which you already have joy. You're shining here. A new business venture could be a way to shine. Getting rid of your debt, getting rid of the burden that's like maybe putting a damper on certain aspects of your life. That would be another way to shine. So where can you be a star in a literal sense? And it's going to be a bit difficult because it came up reversed. But it's something to think about. How do you use your talents? How do you use the fire inside of you? All of the things that we've been talking about here. How do you be the star? You can do it, but it might take a while and it might be difficult because it is reversed. But I think that's the advice for you, to look within. You've already been thinking about it over here. You're waiting for a few things to mature as well. Along the journey, but you definitely can shine like a star. So I think that's about all I would like to say. Well, as you're shining like a star, I'll just remind you that you are resilient and you have hope, and there can be success in the hardships. So some of the hardships and the reversals that we saw, especially here, that remember that, you know, when you come through a hardship, it makes a relationship stronger. When you have worked and toiled really hard, the fruit is that much sweeter. So remember that you're resilient, that there's hope, and that there can be success through hardship. And be a star. All right, thanks very much for the opportunity to read for you, and I hope this was helpful.